Welcome back to Gun Gamers. My name is Garrett.
I'm Steve.
And today we're here to talk about blank fire. Yes, these are real firearms, and yes, you can use them at some airsoft games, particularly MilSim West. And this is our feelings and thoughts on running a blank fire weapon at MilSim West. So we'll just start right into it. First thing I want to go over, and I have it up on my phone, read the tax op. For anyone that's interested in participating in blank fire, to having blank fire weapons and things like that, read the tax op. All the information that I'm about to regurgitate is in there. And if you have any further questions, you can always ask the MilSim West cadre. They'll be able to answer specific stuff like that for you. But the base qualifications, you have to be staff pre-approved. And the way that the pre-approval works is you have to have no felony criminal convictions, i.e. you have to be able to pass a basic background check. Like if you were buying a background check for a firearm, that's pretty much what you're looking for. Second, you have to be 21 years or older. I'm 28, you're
27 at this point.
Yeah, so that's fine. Must have a BFA or blank fire adapter. Now, in here, it also says no bolt action rifles, no shotguns, no unobstructed bores. Steve here has a Mosin Nagant M44 with a blank fire adapter on it. Yes, it's a bunch of folded metal, but this is for a finished Mosin Nagant. So this is a proper blank fire adapter. And the idea here... Go ahead.
The Russians never actually made a blank fire adapter for any of the Mosins because it was the 40s. Why would they? It was also Soviet Russia. So after doing research online for roughly about 2 months, the Finnish Mosins were the only ones that they actually made these for. So mine, I don't know if you can tell in the video or not, but I have a zip tie to actually go and keep this thing together. Mostly because it would wobble around like crazy. Still kind of does a little bit, but it's not as bad with the zip tie cinching everything down.
Now, it does have bolts to be able to secure it properly.
It does.
But they need to be extended.
Yes, the bolts that it comes with, they will go to the other side of it, but they won't go past it. So you can't put like any washers or nuts to actually really cinch it down to the barrel. One big thing to know, as Garrett mentioned, it says in the tax op, no bolt action rifles. I messaged the MilSim West cadre about 2 months in advance, asking them, hey, I would like to use my Mosin. Since we're running civilian, it makes more sense to use an older rifle, like one of the original AK-47s or a Mosin, because for the area that we were going to be in role playing, it made sense to have this rifle. So they said, yeah, that's fine. Just bring everything, and we'll deal with all the details at check-in.
Yeah. Did you send them a picture of that?
I did not, actually. They did not ask for one. But I had a bunch on hand just in case they were asking for, oh, hey, do you have a picture of the barrel blocking device?
Yeah, so the key thing with a bolt-action rifle, because it's not cycling the action and you're not restricting the barrel at all, you have to block it. Now, there are other BFAs for other types of bolt-action rifles that are they're called wood shredders, because their blanks actually have a wooden plug in them, and it fires the wooden plug, and the front of the BFA actually disintegrates that. I doubt that would be approved for MilSim West. However, I'm not them. So, yeah, you'd have to ask to see if something like that would be approved. So, for bolt-action rifles, you pretty much have to have something that's obstructing the bore. For a semi-auto rifle, you need some type of barrel restriction, not completely blanking it off. Again, because we did civilian, I brought my M1 Garand. It is unloaded. And in order to... I looked to World War II reenactors to be able to use this particular rifle. So I have an adjustable blank fire adapter. It has different apertures that you put in the front, in the barrel. It closes off the barrel just a little bit. You're talking a 30 caliber bore, and I have 200 thousandths, 187, and 173 thousandths. So you're restricting the barrel by about a third to half of what its size is. And what that allows to happen, the gas to go into the gas block to be able to push the op rod to cycle the gun properly. Now, you do need blank ammunition. Yep. There are different kinds. there are different powder charges too. So you have to be careful as to what kind of blanks you get. You purchased yours at Atlantic Wall?
Yes, I purchased mine at Atlantic Wall Blank. So if anyone's looking for Mosin Nagant blank fire ammo, there's a couple different places that you can look online to buy them in bulk. For the most part, ammo is going to cost you about 50 cents per round for everywhere that I looked. And one thing that you want to be careful of is a lot of the manufacturers, they use the short cartridges, and they have all the corrosive salts in them. So if you're worried about your barrel, you might not want to go with those. I chose to not go with that because I didn't want to clean my rifle every couple of hours. So Atlantic Wall had these full-length ones that are non-corrosive, so I wouldn't have to worry about, oh, hey, is my barrel going to explode halfway through the event?
It's not going to explode, it's just going to corrode, and then you're not going to be able to shoot the gun correctly anymore. My blanks are also Atlantic Wall. These are 30-06 M1999 duplicates, but reenactors have been using these for years, so that's why I purchased them. Anyway, back to, you have to have a BFA. You cannot have an unobstructed bore, and I've never seen a BFA for a shotgun, so I doubt you're going to be able to get a shotgun approved. Anything like that. Next, you have to submit to a magazine and ammunition inspection at any time. So you have to be able to prove that all the ammunition that you brought are blanks. Now, at check-in, which we'll go into slightly more detail later, but at check-in, when you present your magazines, they cannot be loaded. Now, you may think, well, this is a clip, this is not a magazine, and you are correct. The stripper clips, as long as you're able to see the fact that you don't have bullets loaded into the cartridges, that's what they're looking for. So in a magazine, it's going to be a problem because you'll be able to see the top 2 rounds. Anything below that, you're not going to be able to see. So all your magazines have to be empty at check-in.
Case in point, there was a guy who was running I believe it was an AKM, at the event that we were at, and he had all of his blank ammo loaded in magazines already. So the staff had him unload everything out of all of his magazines that he had to go and show, hey, I don't actually have any real live ammo in anything. Everything's all blank. There's no live ammo at all.
Now, if you have any extra ammunition that is not going to be loaded into magazines or clips, or you're just that you can reload later, so you don't have to have like a ton of mags loaded up with everything. It has to be in a clear plastic bag or the original box that it comes in. Next, you have to demonstrate the ability to field strip, reassemble, and perform a function check on your firearm. Essentially, you have to know how the darn thing works. You really do. And part of that too, I think, is so that way you can clean it on the field. Which we'll get to in a bit. But when we were at check-in and they had us demonstrate, the people that did take their guns apart, they didn't have you take yours apart. I don't think.
No, I mean it's. I mean, you pull the bolt back on a bolt. That's about as field trip as it's gonna get.
Yeah, the key thing that they're looking for is you have to be able to take the bolt out of the gun. So for an AR, you have to be able to pop the pin and pull it out. On an AK, you have to be able to take the dust cover and everything, all that stuff out. You have to be able to look and inspect most of the internals, essentially. So next, you have to be able to state the 4 rules of firearm safety from memory. They are, 1, make sure your weapon is pointed in a safe direction. 2, keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to fire. 3, make sure you treat every firearm as if it's loaded, even if it is unloaded. 4, make sure you know what your target is and what is beyond it. And 5, which is important for reenactors and using blanks, you don't actually aim at the target you're intending to shoot at. And that is in case something happens to your blank fire adapter and it goes sailing off the end of your gun. When we were there, they actually told us that the U.S. Army had a blank fire incident. A blank fire, someone had a live round get loaded into one of their guns, and they shot the blank fire adapter off the end of the gun. Nobody was hurt, but they made us aware of it, and it just keeps everyone that much more safety conscious. So I know you and I have multiple firearms.
Yep.
So we always make sure to keep ammunition separate, and I always double and triple check before I go anywhere that I have the right ammunition. If I'm going to a place with blanks, I don't bring any live ammunition whatsoever. Lastly here is to demonstrate the safe firing of the firearm while displaying awareness of the 20-foot, 180-degree safety fan to inspecting cadre. So what this means is when you're shooting your blank fire rifle, from the end of the muzzle, 180 degrees out the side, there's a 20-foot cone or a circle or whatever. 20 feet from that, you cannot have anybody in that area because the concussion, the flash, all that stuff, that's where the hazard of shooting blank fire weapons is. So you have to make sure that to your left and to your right, nobody is in front of your line of fire. And this also counts for making sure that other participants, if they're wounded or KIA, you have to be aware of them as well, because even though they're wounded in the game, they're still alive in real life. So you have to be very cautious.
Yeah.
And it can get chaotic.
Oh, yeah, it can.
Tons of people trying to peek a corner at the same time. If you have a blank gun, you got to make sure that you're in front of everybody else, but you're distanced away from everybody, from the other team. You can't use blank fire indoors.
Nope.
You can't shoot blank fire outside of buildings. So you're pretty much restricted to being outside. If you go inside, you have to transition to an airsoft weapon. That is, that's the big stuff in the tax op. So basically, understand how your gun works. Be safe, very important. Yes, these are real firearms, but when blank fire is enforced properly, there's no reason it can't be incorporated into airsoft gameplay. All the safety check boxes are done. Everybody is cognizant of what's going on. Everyone understands that it's not real. You're not trying to actually kill or hurt people. Then it's fine. Reenactors have been doing it for years, decades even. That's where I got a lot of the info in order to be able to use this M1 Garand as World War II reenactors.
Yep.
So, as much as like we were uploading photos and stuff about Chechen collapse later on after the event, and there were people that thought it was a hazard.
Yep. Which, if done incorrectly, yeah, it can be. But when you do it the right way, you follow all the proper safety protocols, you just do it right, and use your common sense, everything will be fine.
Yeah, it's.
I'm sorry, I'm going to pitch in real quick. I think, hey, I'm here, by the way. So, in my personal opinion, one of the big reasons why this is, in many ways, safe for airsoft is because of the way it's used. You're not engaging at airsoft ranges with blank fire.
No.
Because, I mean, how often were you guys even inside of airsoft gun range while you were shooting it?
Oh, not at all. When we were shooting,
once.
it was...
It's like 150 feet.
But
yeah, so that's why I think a big thing that people miss is people think that people are going to be, clearing buildings with this and people are going to be engaging at short distance. I think part of the reason why it is safe and why it should be safe and something you should remember if you decide to do this is used to extend the effective range of airsoft gun fights.
I was actually going to get to that.
All right,
next.
perfect. I'm sorry. I just like
you're fine.
overwhelmed.
Now that we've talked about what it takes to be able to run blanks at MilSim West, what kinds of rules are looked at, and things you have to be aware of, let's talk about why. Why would you want to do blank fire at MilSim West? I've been doing a lot of talking, so I'll let you talk.
Personally, I wanted to do it because it seemed like a fun, cool thing. I know for the 2 or 3 MilSim West games that I had gone to beforehand, there were a handful of people that were using blank fire rifles on both sides, and for me, it kind of added into the immersive nature of things. Like, it helped me get kind of more into the game than as opposed to, say, like a pickup game at your local store, at your local field on a Saturday.
And a lot of that has to do with the reasoning as to why blank fire is allowed at MilSim West in the first place. Because they understand that airsoft is restricted to 150, 200, maybe 300 feet, depending on your build and things like that. What blank fire allows you to do is to react to fire from like hilltop to hilltop.
Yep.
Stuff that you're not going to be able to do with airsoft. Really far distances. If you start hearing blanks, you are required to react to them. Whether that's getting prone to make your silhouette much lower, getting behind cover to protect yourself, or running between cover, distancing yourself, trying to stay hidden, things like that.
Or playing dead if you're caught out in the open and the blank fire is obviously being directed at your general area.
Now, like airsoft, it's an honor system. If you believe somebody has you dead to rights with a blank fire gun, you can call yourself as wounded and, do the whole act out thing at MilSim West, which is honestly kind of fun to do, especially in the right circumstances. So it's not uncommon to empty mags or whole bandoliers full of blank ammunition at somebody and for them to not call it. It's going to happen.
Yep.
There's no projectile. And as much as people want there to be a projectile, there is no projectile with blank fire. Ultimately, it's going to be the person reacting to it that's going to be involved with the game as to what's going to happen. They can take cover, like I said. They can try to get prone, try to get away from it, or they can just accept their fate.
It's actually at Check and Collapse. I had a couple of people that did actually call my blank fire shots. Now, granted, they were NPC policemen, but they still acted it out. It's like, all right, cool, you have me dead to rights. Whereas there were other people where I had them dead to rights, and they're like, oh, well, it's a blank fire rifle. There's nothing that's actually going to hit me. I'm just not going to call it and go on my merry way, which is frustrating, but that's also part of the game. You go into it knowing, hey, I'm not actually going to kill anybody. You're going there to add to the immersiveness for everyone else that's there, and honestly, to go and have fun.
Yeah,
That's not the point of airsoft.
Yeah.
Shut up.
fuck having fun.
We're not allowed to have fun here. We have to be serious 100% of the time, all the time.
Yeah, the whole reason as to why I wanted to do blank fire MilSim West in the first place is because of that immersion that you get. I know that word gets tossed around with airsoft stuff a lot.
Immersions.
Yes, exactly. Just like the first MilSim West that I ever had, we started marching off. I had my ruck and everything. We set up on a CP or an LPOP, something like that. We ditched our rucks and started pulling security and whatnot. Then all of a sudden, off into the distance, you hear blanks going off. You're like, whoa, what was that? What's going on? You're trying to find out, what's happening. And then you get two people on each side that have blanks. And it's just like, it's a firefight at that point, literally and figuratively. Just, it adds to the experience a lot. So I wanted to be a part of that, and I figured an M1 Garand, something would be fun for a civilian to use. I figured the same thing with a bolt-action Mosin Nagant might be more readily available to somebody compared to a semi-auto rifle. But we saw lots of AKs. NATO guys run ARs.
There was one guy who was on the civilian team. He had a blank fire PKM.
Yes.
That he was running.
Yes.
That was a lot of fun to see him shoot that.
Belt-fed PKM, and it had a binary trigger in it, too. So if you could imagine... Yes.
Cool.
You could imagine the kind of noise that thing developed. He said he brought 2,000 rounds.
Jeez, I thought I was overkill with... oh, crap. How much ammo did I brought? I brought, I think, 350 rounds?
350 rounds for a bolt-action rifle is a lot.
Yeah, I mean, you brought what?
I brought 270.
You brought 270?
I brought 270, and I thought... I wanted to keep some at home because I was going to a World War II reenactment later on in the month. So I wanted to make sure I had something for that event, too. But honestly, for a semi-auto gun, depending on its capacity, if you're using an AK, at least 500 to 600. At least. It's not uncommon for people to buy 1,000 and just bring the whole 1,000. They go through the whole thing, great. If they don't, they have more for next time. With an M1 Garand, because the magazine size is much smaller, I figured I would go with just about 300 rounds. I brought 270. Somebody else also brought an M1 Garand there, and I actually bummed some blanks off of them for the last firefight, just to make sure that I had enough, and I had just enough. And I think I had 300, just a little over 300 by the time, by the time I was done. How much did you use?
I used 160 rounds of all the ammo that I brought with me, and actually now that I remember it, I actually brought 315 rounds with me. So of those 315, 160 got used over the course of 40 hours.
That's also a bolt-action rifle.
With a bolt-action rifle, like
that's a lot of ammo.
that is a
for
lot of
bolt
ammo.
action. Yeah, it's like I said, the guy with the binary PKM brought 2,000, and I think he was empty by the end of it. So you kind of have to gauge what you think you're going to be. In my personal opinion, at least 600 if you're using a semi-auto like an AR or an AK. If you're using something with a lower capacity, you could get away having less if you're more conservative with it, but that's your only supply. MilSim West is not going to provide blanks for you, so you have to bring everything you think you're going to need. So upcoming, I'm going to Counter Assault Saratov. I will be on NATO. I got my Colt AR-15 approved. I'm bringing 1,000 blanks. So I'm bringing 1,000 blanks with 6 magazines. So I think that's going to be appropriate, especially for NATO. They generally tend to do a lot more push assault type stuff, less so than the Russians. But the Russians have to react to them too. So it's kind of a whatever you think you're going to reasonably use. That's what I would carry. As far as like other carrying gear to bring, I brought an ammo can to put all my blanks in.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on what you're going for. I went with an old school Alice belt and some Soviet ammo pouches, just so that way I had something quick and easy to access. But all of my spare ammo was pretty much kept in a span can, same as what you did. I had some blank ammo in a satchel for if we had to like run out, and I used more than what was in the pouches. But for the most part, everything spare just sat in the can.
Now, Chechen Collapse is an insurgency game. So it's less about the gunfight and more about the experience and being kind of in a simulated world. So it's not going to be constant firefight, too.
I was also going to say, we didn't ruck as civilians.
No, we did not.
That is also true. We did not ruck as civilians. We brought everything in by a car. So for Counter Assault Saratov, how I have it planned out right now is I actually bought the M16 Vietnam era bandoliers, because those are designed to hold 3 stripper clips in each pocket or 1 20-round magazine. So since I'm bringing a bunch of Magpul P mags, I brought 1,000 blanks. I loaded them all onto stripper clips, all but like 200, just because it's easier to pack that way in a clear plastic bag. Filled up 3 of these bandoliers with 3 to 4 stripper clips in each pocket. And what that allows me to do is I can throw that on the back of my ruck to be able to carry the ammunition in. It'll also allow me that if I'm expecting to be in a heavy firefight and I'm expecting to have to reload back at a casualty collection point or something like that, I can throw on 1 bandolier and have extra ammunition for me. Now, granted, I have to put that into magazines, but at least then I have it with me, and it's divisible as well. I'm not sure what the rules are on having somebody else carry blank ammunition for you, so I'm trying to carry all of my blank ammo myself.
I would err on the side of caution and assume that people who aren't approved shouldn't be carrying ammunition.
That would be my assumption.
Because
that's in the tax op too. Is anybody that's not you should not be using your weapon as well. So having an easy way to carry your ammunition is critical, especially with long rucks, moving from your HQ to a CCP, LPOP type thing. But also, you don't want to carry all 1,000 rounds with you at a single time. You don't need to, in my experience. I think that's pretty much it.
No, I think
that's
pretty much
follow the rules.
Hold on.
Read the tax op. Be reasonable.
Be reasonable. I'm going to barge in once more.
Because you're a tool.
Yeah, I know. I'm a fucking dick. But I'm going to barge in once more. I'm just going to say, as someone who hasn't run blank, but has had blank, in his squad and has, played at games with blank fire, I just want to say, I agree. Blank fire is just cool. Like, there's a different level of experience to the start of an attack or the start of an ambush It's one thing to hear some sewing machines go off, right? It's like, it's like, oh no, we're getting shot at. It's another thing to hear, bam, 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 wake up, NATO, bam, bam, bam. And it's like, what the fuck?
Well, you know something's happening whenever you start hearing blanks. I've been woken up by blanks multiple times at MilSim West.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's
your first thought is, oh shit, are we getting attacked?
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. And you know, if that doesn't sound like fun to you, I get that, you know. And if you're worried about stuff, I mean, I know people who are saying like, well, you know, blanks can shoot brass out of the end of the barrel. It's like, yes, that's what the minimum engagement distance is for.
Yeah.
But also, if you're like not okay with being on the field with blanks, and like, I get it. I don't personally agree. I think the safety is there. I think the people who are attracted to using blanks generally tend to be the people qualified to do it. But I do think also that I understand why people might not be comfortable with it. I just think that hopefully, if you know, after watching this video, you understand a little bit more about the process, and that I think it's safer than you give it credit for.
This has been our thoughts on using blank fire at MilSim West. It was our first time, and it's definitely not going to be my last. Like I said, I'm going to counter assault Saratov as NATO, so I will see you that are going to that. I will see you there.
I unfortunately won't be going to that, but this will definitely also not be the last time that I run blank fire. I don't know if I'm going to use the Mosin again, but if I'm in some sort of situation where a Mosin would make sense for a militia or Rust 4 person to use, I'll go ahead and shoot it. But other than that, I'm definitely going to run blank fire again. It's just a question of what.
Yeah. So while the process is, there's a lot of rules to be cognizant of, it's definitely fun and really adds to the experience, in my opinion. Would you not agree?
I would 100% agree with that. It's definitely a very fun and different experience than your average everyday, oh, let's go out in the woods and shoot each other with little pieces of plastic.
It's actually going to be hard for me to go back to like doing regular airsoft instead of like expecting a fireball to come out of my gun every time I shoot.
Yeah.
But anyway, this has been a video by Gun Gamers. My name is Garrett.
I'm Steve.
And I'll see you in the next one.
Peace.
Thank you for watching this video from Gun Gamers. We hope you enjoyed watching it as much as we enjoyed making it. Check the description below if you'd like to buy a t-shirt or a patch, and use the coupon code JUDY10 for 10% off of your next order at Amped Airsoft. Thank you again for watching, and praise Judy.